Okay, this is really the next part. A while ago, I got distracted with the bartender. Very charming guy, and we're back. And in this part, we're gonna talk about how we know each other. The community we're part of is actually a self-development type of community. You know, when it comes to navigating social interactions, that would be a great group, a great class, a great program to take. What do you think, Ari?
Well, I took it, and I'm a proud alumnus.
Okay, and when you say proud, what is it that you were trying to develop? If that's what you want to share, and also, what are the achievements after that? Do you think you've progressed, and what are you still trying to develop?
Right. So the program, I believe they call themselves in the social intelligence business of developing social intelligence.
Okay.
And what that boils down to is interacting with people, learning how your behaviors influence other people's behaviors,
Okay.
how to understand what people are maybe thinking, what makes them comfortable, what makes them uncomfortable. It's a lot of skills that tend to be a little bit lacking in people who are more of the in the Silicon Valley.
Lacking in people, yes.
The
every
more
place,
technical.
every place has its own type of crowd, and here, is there anything you actually grew up here and you are in this area? So, and plus your field, you're dealing with a lot of data, numbers, things like that.
Right.
And then your interest is more like neuroscience kind of stuff. So what do you think is like the big challenge for someone like you? What do you think, was your like frustration?
Well,
aside from the dating scene.
Well, yeah, that's not too great here. But as you pointed out, if you work with logic, numbers, statistics, it's a certain kind of thinking, right? And you can get very good at that kind of thinking, but it doesn't translate so well into a more fluid and amorphous behavior interactions that are social interactions that characterize more people-to-people connection. It's a very different way of thinking and looking at the world.
Is that right?
At
What do you
least
mean by
I
that?
find it to
Like,
be.
it's very different. Sounds like a big way of describing it. Let's walk to the bench outside so that we have a little less of this sound. And while we do that, I'm just picking up my sandwich here. Soon the crowd is gonna start coming in. You want to get the fries?
We'll be back.
Yeah, I'm thinking like this probably would be like sort of a good spot. Yeah, let's go here. The open side. Yeah, I like that, right? See the glare at the back is what I'm trying to like see. There, how about that? I'll stand. No. I'll stand right here. Then you go there. Okay. Moving on to what you were explaining a while ago.
Right. So
You're saying people look.
it's like math class, right? The way that you think in order to get an A in math class, it's a very different kind of way of approaching stuff than getting an A in maybe in English. Right. So if you're thinking there's certain logical rules, especially with programming, and you follow the syntax and the sort of technical thinking, and then if you apply those same rules to human behavior, it doesn't work. People just don't operate on those rules. But there are other kinds of rules or patterns that do characterize social interactions, and of course those are going to change based on culture, right? So just as our culture has changed, even with COVID, before everyone would shake hands That was the traditional greeting of the Western world. You shake someone's hand. Now that's been completely eliminated. But even in places like Japan, you would have they never shook hands, right? They had a different way of greeting. And so if you don't understand those cultural norms and cultural rules, and you're just operating on the wrong set of rules, there's going to be extra friction. You're not going to really fit in as well. You're not going to be able to make the sort of connections that you're hoping to make. And so learning these let's call it non-technical, non-rational approaches to interacting with people is a skill, right? It's a skill that can be developed like anything else. A lot of people focus their time, especially in Silicon Valley, focus their time on developing other sorts of skills.
Like
the number crunching.
The technical skills is
like
what you
tail
mean.
recursion or
So
whatever.
more technical skills.
Yeah.
Okay. So, having said that, what do you think would someone need in order to survive, thrive, make it here, and assimilate?
In Silicon Valley?
Yeah, in this environment where we're at. California. Well, California also has quite a range of extremes, because you can find like the surfer dudes. Exactly.
You go to certain places, maybe in Santa Cruz or especially in SoCal, and it's a complete different. It's right. It's complete, right. You could surf the internet here.
Yeah.
But I think the sort of people skills are becoming more and more important. Even if you're in a technical domain or a technical field.
Exactly.
The quote-unquote team player, even there's a lot to say about it, but even sort of managing your boss is a people skill. And some of
that's probably the first time for a lot of people to hear managing your boss. Excuse me?
Yeah.
What managing the boss?
Right.
How are you the boss if you're managing the boss?
Well, so the boss, you have to understand the boss has certain incentives that they're trying to fulfill, and you have certain incentives. And if you just look from the technical perspective, your job is to make this piece of code work. But if you look at it from the boss's perspective, they might have a different set of incentives that they're trying to figure out. So yes, they want that code to work, but they also need it to fit into a larger ecosystem. They also need to fit into a political ecosystem. So their promotion and even your promotion is tied not just to the quality of your code, but the wider company politics. And if you don't understand that, you won't be as effective a coder as you could be, because you're not understanding the larger context which that code sits in.
Sounds very sticky to me, but it is true.
Yeah.
As it applies in even smaller units of society.
Yeah, it applies everywhere, in every company, in every domain. But a lot of people, if they hyper-focus on the technical aspects, they forget this other side to reality, right? It's like this other side to the coin, which is equally, if not more important, because many awesome projects die because the politics was wrong. There was a cultural mesh, there was some internal political battle, and say the project manager lost out on getting the resources or the funding or whatever it is. They lost out on some political battle, and now this beautiful piece of technical work is just going to languish. So
I like that. So you mentioned the area that people might want to appreciate more wherever they're at is the soft skills. And I think when you mention, the non-technical focus, right? Then that would be the soft skills, which include like language, the way of communicating, right? The interactions and those kind of things which are more intangible, I suppose. And even if you look at it on the product side, on the service side, right? The value that's now placed on those things are actually a lot more than it used to be.
Right. there's no point in having the world's best product if you can't convince anybody of it. Right? Then you just have the world's best dust collector. It does no one any good.
And it's funny because I think also with everything that we're experiencing right now with social distancing, this whole epidemic, people are losing more touch of that sense of connection, human connection. That's why even the most basic things and the most simple things to some people, even common sense, as that term may people make assumptions that there is such a thing as common sense.
Right, exactly. I think, as I was alluding to earlier, different cultures have different notions of common sense, right? To you, it might be common sense to shake someone's hand when you meet them first, but in another culture, that is taboo, that is terrible. And so common sense is context dependent, like almost everything else. And you've got to get the right perspective for the context you're operating in. And you have to be able to shift contexts. Again, if you're a programmer just sitting in front of your computer all day programming, blah, 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 that's one context. But you also have to be able to shift context and realize that, oh yes, I'm dealing with other people, the manager, the guy serving drinks at the bar, and you're not going to interact with them all the same way because you're shifting contexts. And it's crucial to keep that in mind.
So, are there things that you are doing aside from, taking those personal development classes or courses that both of us have tried, that you are, venturing into? Are there any other activities that you're doing so that you can achieve, the things that you have for your short-term and long-term goals? I remember you were taking like some dance classes, right?
Yeah,
things
so
like that.
I'm involved in a number of kind of small little activities where I can branch out and try new things. At the simplest level, just to keep my brain young, right? Keep it learning, new activities, adaptable. And some of the secondary things for that is I get to interact with different groups of people. Right, so the people who typically do, say, bachata or zouk, there is some overlap, but it's not a big overlap between the people who do coding boot camps.
Exactly.
Or
so because of our
hackathons.
location, because of the location, those are the same people that are also taking that class, and probably for similar reasons, right? They're wanting to engage more people or have more contact or connections, have more real, meaningful ties and conversations and interactions, and also probably just develop their skills in dancing.
Yeah, that's right. As you said, connections. I'm part of this other group called Real Social Connections, and their goal, their mission is to really not just develop superficial connections, which is one aspect. It is kind of the beginning, the first step, but you can take many more steps beyond that. So having a real connection, an authentic relating to somebody, so you really understand who they are and they understand who you are, and you don't necessarily feel ashamed, you don't try to hide anything, like you can be your real self.
As you are.
As you are, exactly. And so...
Just be!
Just be, yes. Then, there's many ways to take that also into spirituality and...
Okay, so you're also into spirituality. Oh yeah, I remember you're practicing more like the Zen Buddha kind of stuff.
Many styles there as well.
Okay. More meditation kind of thing, right?
Yeah, meditation, different approaches to meditation.
My bad.
It's all connected
Yeah,
from my
exactly.
perspective, right?
Yeah.
It's all
more
part
like
of
quieting your mind and like giving yourself time to have that space for yourself. And find
yeah. But it also comes in very handy in putting yourself in new situations, because often there'll be an anxiety or sort of a fear, or like spiritual circles you might call it, a contracting, basically just kind of an anxiety. and learning how to deal with that,
Right.
and how to be okay with that, and
Yeah.
realizing it's not a big deal. Like, you know, you can. There's this one phrase I heard many years ago, and it's called "Feel the fear and do it anyway."
Mm-hmm.
And that phrase is one that I try to embody whenever I can. Right. So even if there's something that's a struggle, or there's anxiety, or there's something holding it back, I do a little check. Is it a real fear? Like, oh, am I jumping out of an airplane without my parachute? Okay, good. That's a useful fear. I need to listen to it.
Yeah.
But many times, especially with social interactions, those fears are blown way out of proportion. They're just hyper magnified in your mind. And so having meditation and a certain facility with dealing with your own emotions and your own relationship to yourself is very helpful.
So can you give people some idea if you've always been this person that you are right now? And if yes, great. If not, what was Ari some years back?
Well, I have to
Or
say,
do you even
for
want to
sure,
mention that, or you just want to keep
no,
it
I was,
on the...
I was very different than the way I am now.
Because I want to really
But
also
look,
show...
we're all works in progress.
Yeah, what I want to show there is like how much you've been able to, you know, develop yourself actually, where you were able to, you know, change a lot of things about you, or maybe bring out a lot more of you that wasn't showing before, that makes you who you are and makes you
Yeah.
stronger, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
You know?
So, Ari from 10 years ago would have been far too petrified to do a dance class. Far too petrified.
Or even talk in front of you guys, like right now.
Probably. Yeah. You know, the truth is that who I was is kind of fading from my memory. And it's becoming more blurry, and it's less clear. And there's another factor of human psychology, which is we tend to take our current moment experience and bleed that into our memories or into our future projections. So when you're feeling really good, the future tends to seem a lot better. And if you're feeling really bad, the future tends to seem a lot worse.
Yeah.
And of course, the future didn't change. It was just your current perceptions of it.
Correct.
So I'm not sure if I'm actually as they say in literature, a reliable narrative as to a reliable narrator as to who I was years ago.
Okay.
But some things I can say for sure, which is I was much more shy, much more introverted. Fear and anxieties governed my life to an incredible extent. And I'm not saying that I'm completely free and wild now,
Right.
but it's just immeasurably better. Immeasurably better. Lots of room for improvement, but lots of improvement has been done already.
Okay.
Yeah, so meditation helped a lot with that. Just biting the bullet, involving myself in new activities, realizing that as long as you live, keep learning how to live.
Yeah.
To quote one of the Stoic philosophers. And that's, you know, that's kind of my thing right now, is expanding the range of experiences and almost like the freedom to enjoy life regardless of what it brings.
Me too. Okay. The next question that I want to ask you would be, is there something that, you know, you want to encourage everybody to do, or is there something that you want to be able to build up more and share with anyone who's watching this one, so that people are kind of on the lookout on the next thing for you? What's the next exciting stuff that you got in store?
So I take that question very seriously, and before I can give a full fleshed out answer, I'm going to have to kind of look at my notes, whatever, and think a little bit about what to say. But a few things I can give on how to expand your view of the world in some very critical ways that get to very deep questions about how the world operates. You know, one guy I like is Nassim Taleb. He's a very opinionated and polarizing character.
Mm-hmm.
He has a book called Anti-Fragile and another book called Skin in the Game, and they're kind of large books,
Mm-hmm.
but if you can look up other people who have done like extracts of them or have given commentary on them, and the key ideas presented there are very, very important for understanding how our world is being shaped. So that's all I'll say on that for now.
Okay. So Ari's gonna come back with a lot more to share with everybody in terms of the things that he would want you all to look into. Actually, what that was when we were talking a while ago before we started the video was actually encouraging people to kind of dabble more on the field that he's in right now, right? So a lot of people like me are kind of scared when it comes to anything that says numbers, anything that seems a bit cold when you look at that, and yet he says otherwise. And so that's what he really wanted to sort of be more prepared with in terms of what material he could suggest and what are the things that you might want to give a try so that you might experience it in a different way. Am I right?
Sounds good.
That's it. If there's anything else, or are we good?
We're good.
That's all. Thanks a lot. And I hope you did get a feel of Silicon Valley people and the hangout here. And what else? And the good stuff that you can enjoy, the crowd, the conversations. In a few minutes, everybody's, I think, gonna stop by and start coming in, their usual crowd of this place. And if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to connect, right?
For sure.
And we will be happy to chit chat some more. That's all. You want to say the last goodbye, and you want to say whatever you want to say to
This is
hasta
Ari
mañana.
and Christina signing off from Silicon Valley.